everybody. Happy Independence Day. I have with me my sister, Jessica. We wanted to pop by and just talk over some things with you guys. And one of the main things that I want to know is, like, what does independence mean to you? What does freedom mean to you? I mean, independence, by definition, is the state of being or not depending on the control or influence or authority of others. I like this definition because, you know, it takes a lot to gain one's actual independence, you know. And prime example is my sister here, who I am incredibly proud of. I mean, it took a lot for her to overcome, especially narcissistic abuse, as via her ex. You know, it really does. I mean, it takes a lot to overcome, like, the mental abuse, especially. Because, I mean, one of my things is you don't have to hit to hurt, you know? I mean,
and those words or those actions can hurt even worse than a physical beating, you know?
They definitely leave a lasting scar, don't they? You know? They do. I mean, it does take a lot, but I mean, for you, what do you think was the most helpful thing that helped you get away from, you know, that type of, just that type of pain, you know?
So for me, it was more, I just remember looking at myself in a mirror. Sorry, fireworks going on. But I just remember looking at myself in the mirror after I was so torn down and so my shattered, spirit crushed. Looking back now, I don't even know who that was, you know. I just swore to myself that I would never let anybody do that to me again. And so 3 years was my mark, you know, because it takes so much time to rebuild yourself, and that's what you got to do. You gotta rebuild yourself from the ground up, and it's, you know, it's hard because you know, coming from somebody that's always been so codependent, you know, it's the first time I've ever had my own place and my own everything, you know, and having to rely on anybody. It doesn't have to be just a man, you know, any kind of, like, not just being able to stand on your own 2 feet, or even having your own thoughts, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a line in this song by Citizen Soldier called Face to Face, and one of my favorite lines in there is, I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, right? You know?
Yeah. I think that's the most essential part because once you come out of something like that, most of us are so broken, and you don't really know where to start. Well, and it's just kind of like in sobriety or anything else that you've dealt with in your life, you know, you just gotta take it one day at a time. And then, I didn't choose 3 years, but that's how long it was before I ended up in another relationship. But that relationship is even a way better one, you know. But it first started out I just remember never wanting to feel like that again, like a loser, like I wasn't worthy of anything. And the biggest part is loving yourself. I've never fully loved myself before, you know.
It's hard.
It's hard. And I don't know, maybe what happened with that relationship triggered me to want to love myself. Because, you know, it is true. You can't get into another relationship unless you love yourself. A healthy relationship is what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, because when I met my ex, you know, I was so vulnerable, and most of us are, and that's what they target. They target vulnerability, you know.
Well, it's not just vulnerability. I mean, just you coming on here and expressing yourself
Your
is
confidence,
vulnerability. Yeah,
because it takes nothing for them to build your confidence, but then they peel it away layer by layer, and the most intense ones are the ones that do it secretively, and it doesn't. And a lot of times, it doesn't even end up being physical abuse until like the way end. It's all emotional. It's like suck you in, and then by the time it does become physical, you're so broken and bruised and
you make
shattered,
and stuff like that.
And it's almost like manipulation. Well, this is okay. What in the world? On what planet is it okay to do this or talk to somebody else like this? Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I think, because like I said, you coming on here and expressing yourself and, actually being vulnerable takes so much courage. I mean, that's absolutely amazing, and it really does, just to be able to admit, I've been through this, but I love the way that you've taken it and you've turned it into a positive as far as, I went through this, but it's more of a, you know what? I survived this. I mean, if you look at it, it's quite an achievement, like everything that you've survived, that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud of you, is just because you have survived so much and you're still, so vibrant and so happy, and that takes a lot, So, I mean, that's one of the things that I really, I'd like you to focus on is the fact that he did not break you. He did not break your spirit at all. I'm so proud of you for that. I really am. I love you. Oh, sorry. So we're going to embed this.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I mean, thinking about it now, I never really thought about it like that deeply, but yeah, when I look back to where I was, 3 years ago, it was like, and that's not that just the mark, but if you, I was with this person for a very long time, 8 years, and I just, once you realize that you can't save everybody, that you need to save yourself first, and you just start off small things, just, fake it till you make it. Tell yourself how much you love yourself until you actually do.
Right.
Little comments to yourself, and the biggest thing for me was, like I said, looking in that mirror that day, seeing what I look like, seeing how far down I had gone. And I promised myself I would never, ever let anybody make me feel like this again.
You had that determination. You're like, I've had enough. I've had, I'm done with this. I'm done feeling like this.
And then at that point, you can build yourself to who you want to be,
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to be that weak link person, but it was a lesson in life because then I realized, you know what? I need to love myself. I've never loved myself fully, you know, and but I do now, and it took, like I said, a long time.
Well, Aaron Dowdy is a life coach that I've mentioned before, and he even says, some of it's kind of like that mentality of, he goes, if you really want, if you want something to change, then see yourself as that changed person, see yourself as, you know what, I am strong. You see yourself as the strong, successful, confident person, kind of give yourself your own vision of your future self, Do you think that was... that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Which
is knowing that I never wanted to feel that empty and that broken, unlovable, you know, like I couldn't do anything without him or anybody. And I think that's the biggest thing is learning how to stand. And it's hard because you have to learn how to be alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do things alone. And, like, I've always worked, you know, I've always been, like, independent in that way, but I've always had to rely on somebody else for everything else, you know, and then...
And the idea of being alone, like, honestly, like, terrifies everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I was terrified of it, you know. I mean, each time I lost somebody that I was with, you know,
you worry about those moments when you're alone, and it's like those thoughts running around your head. Memories, you know.
Yeah, and
then I can't do this without you, but you can, and you have to.
Absolutely.
Or else you'll, you know, or else, especially, well, in these kind of abusive situations, you know, you're just going to continue that cycle, and it's like it stops because I am not going to be with anybody until I put myself together.
Right. And it's hard because you're fighting against yourself. I mean, that's one of the things.
Those are the hardest battles, the ones we carry with us, you know, our internal battles.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, like, I talk about, like, battles and wars and stuff like that in a lot of my poetry. And that's exactly what I mean, you know, is like, especially those internal battles, you know. But, you know, I do have to say that, you know, one of the really great things about, like, my healing and stuff like that is having a wonderful support system like you. You know, she's not my biological sister. We actually met in high school, and gosh, that seems like so long ago.
I still remember the trench coat.
Yep, I still had the trench coat back then. So,
I asked for a lighter, and then
and I think I scared her when I actually gave one to
her.
But yeah, I mean, but that's just it. You know, we've been with each other, and we've fought like quite a few times. I mean, she's like. She's the only one that's ever given me a black eye. So
not on purpose. I was trying to help.
Yeah, I got in the way of her fist. That was my bad. But, you know, I mean, and that's another thing is like, you know, like even when you're feeling absolutely alone, and you know, it's
terrifying.
The idea of it is terrifying, but actually being alone and by yourself and stuff like that, when you know that you're not actually alone, that you got people, even just one person that loves and cares about you unconditionally, you know, that can make the whole difference in the world. You know, I mean, I know that's one of the things, like, after, I think, it was after Greg passed away, actually, she came and stayed with me for a while. And because, I mean, after, you know, 10 years of sleeping next to somebody, you know, it was hard for me to sleep without hearing somebody breathing next to me. And so she was sweet enough to, you know, come and stay with me for a while. And, you know, she still probably has no idea how much that helped me heal. It really did, you know. So, but, and that's one of the things that I want to say about, like, independence and about freedom and stuff like that, is that, you know, independence is not necessarily about being alone and standing alone. You know, just like the definition says, you know, it's a state of being free from control or influence or
all
authority.
The chains that bind you.
Absolutely, you know. So, I mean, you know, that's just it. It's the freedom to choose, like, who you want to be around you, honestly, you know, and it's the freedom to be comfortable with yourself. And,
I was just going to say that, being comfortable with you. Know?
Right?
And it takes a lot to get there, especially because there's not anybody on this planet that is fully confident 100%.
No.
We all have our own flaws and stuff like that. And
I don't know. I'm pretty great, but I'm just kidding. But no, there's you're going to need support, and so it's one of those that, if you don't feel like you've got that support system, or at least one person that believes in, that really truly cares about you, maybe not even like particularly loves you, but that really
I love
cares
everybody.
about you. Yes, she does. I love everybody too, except for her. No, I'm just kidding. But but yeah, and that's one of the things, like, that I wanted to just kind of drive home is, like, independence doesn't necessarily mean being alone. And, sometimes you've got to find that person that, is truly going to care about you and accept you for being yourself. But that's kind of one of the key points to it is, who are you? You kind of got to figure out who you are before you can find somebody who's going to truly accept you for being you.
And then the more that you start loving yourself and you appreciate who you are, the more that the healthy relationships will come into your life.
Right.
Or else you're gonna, if you don't take that step, and that's what I'm saying, give yourself time after this.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to go enjoy some fireworks. And like I said, happy Independence Day. I hope yours is a great one. And you know what? Do something special for yourself, and try to reflect on your own independence. So, but you do deserve it. You deserve the happiness. Thank you.